Father, be with the ones that are traveling, Lord, on their way here. Keep them safe. Father, be with our first responders, our fire, our EMS, Father, our paramedics, our law enforcement, Lord. Keep them safe as they do daily what they do, keeping us safe, Father. Protect their hearts and their minds from the things they see every day, Lord. Father, I pray you would be with our students that just got out of school this year for the school year, Lord. Keep them safe as the summer months go, Lord. Father, be with the teachers and staff as they prepare for a new year. Father, I pray for every man and woman ever put on a uniform to protect our rights to be here tonight, in past, present, and future, whatever branch of military it was, Father God. Thank you. Father, we just thank you, Father, for the strength that you give them and the wisdom, Lord. I pray tonight, Lord, that all things said and done here will bring you glory. Father, it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a budget workshop meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Correction, Commissioner
Carson's
Turner's
not here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We ask that you have any electronics, if you would put them on vibrate. And just for the record, we're getting ready to have our budget meeting. There will not be any public comments. There will be a workshop in July to follow. Just for the record, there will not be any public comments tonight concerning the meeting. So thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the attorney.
Chair, this is the budget workshop for the constitutionals, I believe. That's where we're at, right?
But this time, then, it's the
It's
Office
Ian.
of Budget, so Ian, I apologize, Ian, thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, this is the workshop, June 11th, 2024. We have on the agenda, I had sent out an email to you earlier with the budgets of the 4 constitutional officers that are listed here in the agenda. And you can ask questions of them as you wish. They can come up and speak as they wish. I have literally just gone and put this workshop together for those constitutionals to be able to come before you. So with
Thank
that, if the property appraiser would care to.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all for coming today. Okay. I presented the budget. We sent it the end of the month, and I don't know if you guys have had a chance to review it yet. It's very simplified compared to last year's. Very minimal changes if you go through. We put in the 10% increase for the insurance premiums that are expected to be increased. Other than that, it's just been very minimal changes. I don't know if you've had a chance to review, if you have any questions for me.
Overview, it's a 2.71%
Yes,
total increase over
right,
current year.
yes.
And you've got all your staff at the $15 minimum wage. You've
Yes.
already surpassed that, right? Okay.
Yep, we're good with that.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
The Sheriff Department, what's up next?
Actually, if I may say, it's the clerk of courts, if she should so wish to.
They lined up like that?
Just as an overview, her budget is 1% over the current year. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Man, it's got to tighten up, man. It's crazy.
No pressure, I'm just kidding.
1%.
1%. That's pretty
Y'all have
much
any
status
questions?
quo.
Because she's 1% older, anybody have?
Madam Chair. Ms. Berno, were you able to get everybody up?
Yes.
Good deal. How many did y'all have to move just off the hip? Y'all remember? Was it a large
About
number?
5 or 6.
Okay.
That was it.
About the same? About the same.
But it was a huge help,
Good.
huge help for us.
And you did that when?
Last year.
Last year, okay.
And there's not COLAs in here, because we asked them not to do that, and then later on, when you all approve, when we get to our discussion and you approve a COLA, we'll calculate that in to everybody's budget.
Do we
So
have any idea what the state is leaning towards this year?
They did three.
3?
We did calculate the 3%
Oh, you did?
in, yes.
Oh, y'all should
Oh,
have
in your
kept that quiet.
contingency, okay, that's good. So it's still 1%.
Let's
We
make sure
just
we don't
heard-
over.
We heard that magic number, so we just went with
Let's
that.
not overlook that.
She actually decreased her budget, if
That
you
is a
look at it
decrease.
that way.
Kim, you might have not, should have said anything on that.
Maybe not. Okay.
Awesome, well,
very
thank you. Thank you, great job.
Thank you.
Now we have the supervisor of elections, should she wish to come.
I am here should anybody have questions.
All right.
good.
Anybody have any questions?
And hers also includes, she's already put
Yes.
her COLA in, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor, do you anticipate we're gonna have to make some upgrades on machines or anything like that, or?
Not this year.
Good.
We're looking at it in 26, or in 25.
Yes, ma'am.
For 26, but we're hoping that we get a grant next year to be able to cover it.
On
We're
your
hoping.
poll workers, I know that there's, I would imagine they grade out of participation, a lot of them, but do they get paid day of? Or how does that work?
Election day's on Tuesday. We try to have the checks in the mail by Friday.
Gotcha. So, good deal.
Did you guys implement some cybersecurity technology this past year?
I do not believe there was anything new this year, was there, Don? I don't think so. Yeah, just the state regulated items. Like I say, they are looking at some changes and increases and stuff for 26 election, so we're hoping we get grants next year to get it in play before the election.
All right, thank you.
That's simpler this
Thank
year.
you.
Thank you so much than it was last year. So next is the sheriff. Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I thought you heard me. I apologize.
Good evening, everyone.
I said-
Sheriff Whidden for the record. So we have a little power check one. Here we go, okay.
Thank you.
I have a PowerPoint presentation for you, because I am not 1%.
Hey, I received an email
too
last
fast.
week,
Who'da thunk
and there was a typo.
Oh, no, no, we're gonna go through it. It's,
I had to clean my glasses when I saw that, Sheriff.
mhm.
Is there a time delay? Can we, like, deduct from his budget for time delay?
I'm just waiting for it to get up on the board.
You might have to speak through all this.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay. All right. Start on the next page. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak on the budget. This year, we requested an increase of $5.6 million, and I'm going to go through why we're doing that. Number one, colon competitive adjustments that would allow our agency to be competitive with surrounding agencies. We are absolutely not competitive, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But, you know, just a few years ago, you've heard me say at these budget requests, hey, you know, deputies can go next door and make 10 grand more. Well, guess what? They're $18,000 to $20,000 more to start this budget year. Even Charlotte County's, I talked to the sheriff over there, they're going up to $70,000 a year to start. And I know we can't compare our county with Charlotte or Lee or Collier, but it doesn't matter when it comes to deputies here who literally come here and bounce over. So it's hard to keep up. Health insurance, as you know, is an estimate. These numbers may change. They're based on the anticipation of an increase. New positions would increase the ability to patrol the increasing number of residents. With that comes the need for support staff. And also loaded means all benefits included, FRS, FICA, Medicare, and insurance. Today, we're requesting $24,684,000. Included in his proposal are COLA and competitive adjustments for salaries. With surrounding counties increasing their starting salaries for sworn deputies, it's difficult to maintain full staffing. On average, the surrounding counties are currently offering $18,000 more than our current starting pay. We simply can't keep up. And again, like I said, most of them are going up to around $70,000 to start. It's clear to see that we are not competitive with surrounding agencies, resulting in turnovers or a constant need for new trainees. Just a side note, there was just a posting for LaBelle Middle School teacher with a starting salary of $50,668 for a certified teacher. So we're being priced out in every area of the county. Major operating cost increases in comparison to this time last year. So communications were up 10.24%, fuel, that's 3.7% down. Trinity up 7.78%. Prisoner transports are up 82%.
What is Trinity?
Trinity is our food services. They're the ones that we bid out every year. They're always coming in the cheapest, so that's why we keep using them. Some singular transports in a single trip could cost upwards to $1,000, thousands of dollars. There's a significant drop around the holidays, causing a decrease in fuel costs. But as you can see, we're running a little more consistent with last year's rates, although our highest numbers are typically after mid-year. New positions, we're asking for 15 deputies, and that's again to keep up with the heavy growth rate. As you know, we got 15 last year. But as you know, with an agency like the Sheriff's Office, it's hard to grow one part. When you have an increase in population like we've had, okay, it affects the entire agency as a whole. You make more arrests with more deputies, you need more correctional officers. You make more felony arrests with deputies, you need more investigators. The bigger the population, the heavier the needs, such as civil service, you need more civil process deputies. You have to grow it like a balloon. It's hard to grow one piece at a time.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
how many of those positions have you filled, Sheriff?
Sir?
To date, how many of those have you filled?
We have technically filled all 15. However, we're still losing them as we get some filled. They jump to Collier, Lee, Charlotte. So it's a never-ending battle, Commissioner. We're asking for 4 civilian positions to help out with the increase. Yes, sir.
Let me talk about that. So
Okay.
if we gave you funding last year for 15 new employees, right,
Mhm.
new deputies,
All right.
and you lost some,
Mhm.
then you still should have that money to allocate for new deputies, no?
No.
Where did that money go?
No, they quit. We're still hiring in. So we're filling them, but they can't go out on the road. They're not effective immediately. You got to understand something. When we hire a deputy, typically most of them, if they're not sworn, they have to go 3 months through the academy. When they get out, they have to go another 3 months through FTO program. So that's 6 months. So that's what takes so long, but we're still having to pay. So,
My understanding that, I guess they was released in March, this past March. The only problem that I have when requesting more deputies, that the comment was that they'll be stationed somewhere. And I don't see that. I can't say that about every area of the community, but to me, their presence makes a lot of difference.
You
in the
speaking of Harlem?
community. I'm speaking of Harlem, because
Okay.
that's where I live. I can't speak for every area.
well, that's good. I'm glad you said that because I brought some numbers for you, Ms. Bird. So the Harlem stats from,
Let me
okay, go
finish.
ahead,
So,
go ahead.
I did get some numbers from the chief.
Mhm.
He went over some things
Sure.
with me. But my problem with the numbers that I was given, I understand the cause, but I like to see somebody there. And for a reason that if there's a gun shooting that's already in existence, they're already there. That's the only problem that I foresee. I do understand that you do need the officer, and I understand why. Because I can see the growth, not only there, but the problems that we're having in our community.
Okay, well, let me give you the numbers because they are there. They're there constantly. So between January 24 and June 24, the deputies did 2,095, almost 2,100 residential checks. That means that they're in Harlem going around checking residences, okay? They're in there. We did 422 business checks. We did 67 security checks. That's when people call us to ask us to check on their businesses or whatever. We worked 12 property crimes in there and 138 persons crimes. Now I'm gonna tell you something, that's low. 12 persons crimes and 12 property crimes and 138 persons crimes. That's not a lot of crime. Why? Because we're in there. We're in there heavy. And that's just the fact of the matter. So I don't know why you're not seeing them, Ms. Bird, but they're in there.
I see them when there's a problem there, but my thing of it is I like to see them there even when there's not a problem there.
Well, they are. That's what I'm saying.
I see 'em. I understand what you're saying. I understand your numbers. Numbers say a lot of things, but I say a lot of things too. So that's the problem that I foresee in my community. And I do have a few complaints from the Montour area, but I can't specify for there. But that's
Well,
the
it's the
problem
same
that
with
I have.
Montour. We've always staffed Montour. We've always staffed Harlem.
I
So
don't-
here's
I
the other
don't
thing
see it.
too is,
I don't see it. I didn't see it until I brought it up, and then I started seeing it when I vocal, my opinion. So
well, these numbers go all the way back from January, so I don't know when you brought it up. But
numbers, we're not going to address because the numbers is not appropriate for the complaints that I filed within the sheriff's department. So I disagree.
okay, well, that's
with
fine.
all.
You can disagree, but the numbers don't lie. So, but here's the other thing too. Now, 40% of all the residential checks in East District, from Pioneer this away, 40% of them are in Harlem.
Okay.
So anyway,
Resident check. I want people to understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they don't do resident checks. I'm not saying that they're not there for crimes. I'm saying I would like to see the officers there. Visual makes a lot of difference in the community. For instance, we've been having a lot of gun violence.
Right.
So I think if there's an officer there, they don't have to come from the city to get there.
well, what
I
I'm
see
saying is
that
when
all
we're
the
doing
time, I can't say
40%
that.
of all checks in the East District in Harlem, I don't know how you can't see them or how they're not there. You're getting almost half of all of East District's
Okay.
business checks, so,
Madam
and
Chair.
residential checks.
Yes.
Sheriff, is a check only catalyzed by a request for service?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Yes, most of them are. It's when somebody calls in and wants a house, they're here, their check, or whatever the case may be. Or we simply run around and we'll do checks over here, and we'll use an address. And that shows us the activity that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're patrolling, they're in an area.
And so can you now go back and say, okay, we did 40% of the checks in the Harlem community specific. Now we look at how much time we're actually occupying in that area specific,
Yes, sir.
or
Yeah.
or
Oh,
other
yeah.
areas in the East
And
County.
we do. We have the GPS in the cars, and we can
About-
tell it looks like spaghetti.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And so, Ms. Byrd, if I'm understanding, Commissioner Byrd, Madam Chair, I still see you as my middle school teacher that threatened me with an inch of my life if I did something incorrect, and you were right 99.9% of the time. So please don't take any time I say Ms. Byrd, it's disrespect. I don't think you would. You'd snatch a knot in my tail right now if you wanted to, and I'd say yes, ma'am. Anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is, Ms. Byrd, if I'm hearing you correctly, what your request is that you want to see proactive patrolling from the Henry County Sheriff's Department more readily available in the Harlem community on a regular basis,
What I was trying
if
to
possible.
say, if not say, what I didn't want to say was, I don't want to see officers there aggressive, stopping people. I want to see their presence there. I want the children to see their presence there.
Yes, ma'am.
So that they would know that they're there. I don't agree with what he's saying. I don't agree with his numbers. I'm not saying they're not there because they are there.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I'm saying if you was in the school and your mama saw you, there's certain things you're not gonna do because your mama see you. If certain kids see the officers there, there's certain things they're not gonna do. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is I would like to see their presence there. I'm gonna push away the numbers because when I ride through there, I don't see them. I didn't start seeing them until a couple of days, more so when I addressed it.
Are
I
you
told
happy
him,
with the low persons crimes and property crimes?
I am happy
Well,
with it.
then
but you
that's
still-
what our job is. So, I mean, we're getting it done. I don't know what else to tell you,
I
Ms.
don't
Bird.
know when you say, you made a comment about, business, what business? We don't have a handful of business. So
Yeah.
that's not there. And like I said, I don't see them there. You can count your numbers all day, but I don't see them there. I do know
Okay.
when certain things happen, we shouldn't have to wait for them to come to town. There should be officers already there. And if you say they're there, only thing I have to go by is what you say, but I'm gonna tell you what I don't see. So,
Well,
Well,
I'm through.
Madam Chair, what I would say to that is, I think that this sets a nice stage for a conversation to be had. I would love to see some of the data sets, Mr. Sheriff, and I don't want to use the jargon of community policing. I don't want to get into y'all's world to be critical of it in any way, shape, or form. I will tell you that this is probably the number one subject matter that I disagree with my constituency base on is people say to me they don't feel safe. They feel that they need to see deputies more. And I mean, I look at, especially when I look at the numbers.
your constituency?
Sir?
Your constituency?
Yeah,
Where?
but it's especially the outlying areas, Montura specifically, and then South 835. And I don't agree with that, Sheriff. I don't agree with there's not enough. I don't agree that we don't have enough policing, and I don't agree that Henry County is unsafe. So what I'm saying to that is I believe that Henry County is safe, and I believe you do a great job. Can you do better? Absolutely. I would ask for you and the chair to have an aggressive conversation with one another, and I want us to try to identify if we can place some people, and look at the clock and look at what's going on around there. And I mean, I think from a commissioner standpoint, I don't know how much someone hangs out on Front Street or is around. We don't have the footprint that we used to have, in my opinion, the county per se, at the Harlem Library and that whole little campus, And I'm hoping that is something that's going to be addressed in the upcoming years through the grant process and through when we get Harlem Gardens back. And I just think when we get that, I think that that's going to be a catalyst for a deputy's vehicle to be there, to be able to do some work. And
Well, the problem is when we're there and we're doing the work, we get complaints.
Yes, sir.
When we have to pull them back, hey, guys, we're getting complaints, back out, then the crime goes up, we get complaints. So I don't know what the answer is right
Yes,
now.
sir.
Complaints come when they're aggressive to the community and they're pulling people left and right. I understand that they have to train, but when you see 5 cars stopped, in the community at one time, that's aggressive.
Depending on what the case is. But the deputies typically react to how they're treated. So, it's a cycle here that needs to get broken. I don't know how to break it.
I'm not even talking about how they're treated. I'm only talking about
So-
them there.
Well, like I said, when we're in there and we're doing our jobs and the crime goes down, I get complaints. When we try to satisfy the complaints and we back them out, crime goes up, I get complaints. So I don't know what the answer is.
I'm gonna do it one more time and then I'm gonna move on. So
Yes,
what I'm
please.
saying is that I know you're there. I know you're there because we have 8 people stopped at one time. I get that. All I'm saying that there should be an officer there. Even you say checkpoints because somebody called you and I need you to check my house. I do know they did that because I was there when they done it. But I'm saying there should be an officer there at all times. So if you say they there, only thing I can go by is what you're telling me, but I'm telling you what I don't see. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, so Sheriff, do you have the numbers for the entire county?
Absolutely.
All
Yes, sir.
incorporated.
Yes, sir.
So if I want to sit down with you and discuss real
Sure,
estate.
please, please,
Aldo,
please, yes.
is that
Yep.
good enough?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Did you get to move to the rezoning that you wanted to
No,
do?
sir. We don't have enough yet to do that, not safely.
And why is that?
Numbers. We got to have certain numbers to be within certain proximity for backups on calls.
So let me touch base on that because I keep hearing that. And I think we're getting confused on what you asked for the year before last or before this fiscal year, which was 19 deputies to put the zone in. We
No.
didn't do that. We gave him 3 and then we ended up with 6, I think is what we netted out. This current fiscal year, you asked for 15 and we gave you 15, but that did not include the zone corporation. It was the year prior. Is that right?
But they said they were stationary somebody in Montour, Hookers Point, Pioneer, they will be somebody stationary in every area of the community.
There's always been somebody in Montura and in Harlem that they're all day long.
I don't know if there's
I
somebody
don't-
in Hooker's Point, but I see somebody all the time.
Yes,
You know, I mean, like,
yes.
I don't know if there's a car parked there,
Following you.
but I see them. But I see them.
I mean, when you
all the
say
time.
stationary, what you want us to park a car on Front Street
No,
and stand
not at
outside
all.
like
I
this?
don't.
I don't know
No.
because they're not driving down the same road in Harlem every day.
What I want.
They're not going to do
I
that.
want just
So,
what I said.
don't
That's
know.
not what I want.
But
So-
anyway, no. So we are not there yet, unfortunately, because of the vastness of the county and trying to break it up into zones to where people can respond to each other for help. Our people, it takes a lot.
But 2 years ago during the budget process, that's how you teed it up, that you were going to
We're
do
aiming
it, I
towards that. Yes, I teed it up like that. I mean, and I told you that's our goal. That's been our goal.
What is it gonna take to get to that point?
I don't even know. We have it kind of drawn out. But again, the zones that we have to even potentially make it work in the near future, they're huge zones. I'm not comfortable with it. So,
Madam Chair, the confusion is that was the way I perceived it as well. That when we went to the 15 last year, was gonna be in the zone. So that's where the confusion between us and
Misunderstanding.
misunderstanding. Because last year I understood the same thing. You said last year that if we could get the 15 deputies, we'll be able to create the zones. So Commissioner Howard, you're correct on that part. I did hear that as well. So that's why we're asking the question.
I'd like to pull that up because I don't think I said we could absolutely go to zones. Because again, remember, when we get 15 people, I can't put them all on the road.
No, we know that, but that.
I mean, that's common sense. You understand that.
Go back to it and look at it.
I'd like to look at it.
We're all,
Yeah.
it sounds like we're all
Yeah.
in the same understanding. So let's visit it and look at it, because I do want the information on what you do in Wheeler Estates.
Okay.
I just want to point out, I didn't want to give you the deputies to begin with.
What's that?
I said, I just want to point out, I didn't want to give you the deputies to begin with.
Yeah, we know.
Ultimately, I knew where that vote was going, so I'm pretty sure I saddled up with it. But Sheriff, could you give me a Reader's Digest version at any given moment what coverage looks like in Hendry County? You've explained this to me privately, but I would just like for you to do it again,
As far
please.
as coverage is what?
So I don't understand. If I would love to go back in my mind's eye, and you explained it to me so articulately a couple times over breakfast and dinner, where you've said at any given moment we have 4 here, 4 here, 4. You know, you've broken it down like a fraction for me, and you've made it to where it seems very logical to me that coverage exists pretty much countywide, and in the event a deputy has to respond to an incident over here, y'all roll coverage in, and you even explained to me how I don't know if it's mutual aid or what you say, but if the city of Clewiston needs help or vice versa, y'all piggyback and assist.
Okay, so Henry County is a very large area. We have several outlying communities. It's broken up into 2 districts.
East and west.
District,
Yes,
we
sir.
call LaBelle side.
Yep.
East District, which is Clewiston side. Let's talk about Clewiston side. We have Harlem, Hookers Point. You have Pioneer. That's part of the east side. You have City of Clewiston, because we still run a large number of calls. We get calls all the time to run in the City of Clewiston.
Pioneer, Hookers Point, Harlem. That doesn't mean that you discounted Flaghole and Montura don't exist.
So me, when I say Harlem,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, when I say Montura, I encompass Flaghole because it's right there.
Yes, sir.
So, but again, you have Flaghole, you have all the outlying areas. I mean, you have 720.
Yep.
You know, Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of places that need to be covered.
Yep.
Okay. So last year we were running roughly 4 deputies per shift on each side. Okay. Again, we're trying to run 5 now with the new deputies. But again, it's rarely that you have 5 on, because someone's always out on maternity leave or paternity leave, or they're sick with COVID or something, or they're on military leave or vacation or just PTO. So it's hard to run a full shift at all times. So let's say if we got 5, now we have 4, now down to 4. So you got one, Harlem, Montura, Flaghole, the Clewiston area. You know, we're running out of deputies. Now, I want to point out something. We had, between January and today, we had like 860 some car crashes. Do the math per day. That's like 5 a day, right? It takes 2 deputies for a minimum an hour, depending on the crash, until FHP gets there. And most of the time we have to help them with traffic control until we can get it cleaned up. So you get a car crash, you got 2 deputies off the road for 1 to 2 hours minimum. You get a domestic, you got 2 deputies I mean, minimum, because those are the most dangerous cases we have. You're out of deputies right there. Boom. So I'm telling you guys, it's just right now with the new hires from last year, we're only like 60-some%. I got the notes here. 60-some% of the national average of what we should be at nationally on an average. If we got 15 more this year, we'd only be at 72%. So, look, y'all are residences here. I just run the agency. Y'all can do what you want to with it. I'm giving you what we need. I'm telling you why we need it. Okay? It's up to y'all whether we get it or not. It's y'all live here. Y'all's kids go to school here. Your grandkids go to school here. It's up to y'all. I'm just telling you what we need and why we need it. I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you. I can show you the numbers verbatim, where we're at, what we have to have. But again, it's up to y'all.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So at any given time, we have essentially four on each side of the county.
Right.
And then do we still have a school resource officer in every school?
Yes, we do.
What happens during the summertime?
They come out and try to help out, yes.
Come in and try to roll into that rotation?
Yes, sir. Now, let me talk about LaBelle side.
Okay.
Because LaBelle side, it gets real sticky.
Because you don't have a PD
Well,
person.
not even
No?
that.
Okay.
But we don't. But we don't have a PD. So you've got the city of LaBelle that we cover. You've got Felder that we cover, which is 20 miles to the south, or 15 miles to the south. You have State Road 80 from LaBelle all the way to Lee County. All the residents and new building that's going up out there on the south side of the river. You have the same thing on 78 on the north side of the river. Then you have all the way from there all the way to Pioneer. So when you're running calls and you need 2 deputies over here to run to Felder or wherever, you're 2 deputies down. So you've got 2 deputies left up here to cover everything else. Lord forbid you get a car crash or domestic or bank robbery.
Your contract with the city of LaBelle is for how many deputies?
Is it 2?
2.
2.
And how often do you have more than 2 deputies in the city of LaBelle?
How often do we, what's the question?
How often do you have deputies in the city of LaBelle over the 2?
Well, if I remember, they're still on the 8-hour shifts, Monday through Friday, is the paid deputies. So we have to cover other than that.
I can tell you, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, forgive me. My biggest areas that I get the biggest complaints is Wheeler.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally forgot about Wheeler Road.
Thanks for forgetting about it.
Yeah, I did, and we can't even get there. I mean, it's just, that's another thing, because that's the 30-minute ride over there.
Well, no, and that's the reason I'm asking, because I want to see the numbers. I want to see what calls are. I want to see what kind of mutual aid we have going in that. We've had a lot of issues with fire and EMS. We've been back and forth with Lee County on that. So,
Yeah.
And it is. We're working on it. We're working on a route to get in there for sure. But with that being said, north of the river, I don't get complaints. The only thing on the north of the river I get complaints about is the dump trucks. And that's pretty much, I think Mr. Parker's about curbed all that and got them afraid to run out there anymore. My biggest areas, realistically, Wheeler, and in the Port LaBelle, City of LaBelle area, with the burglars at night. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest complaints I get as far as listening to, people call me and say, hey, we got people all on cameras or walking around our houses at night. So I don't know what the outline, I know with the help over here with the city of Clewiston, perfect, because you have bodies to at least help. And on the LaBelle side, we don't. So I understand the issues, but we got to figure out a way. I mean, realistically, we got a barrel of money to work with. We got to figure out how to skin the cat, I guess you'd say. Maybe I shouldn't say that. If you're an animal lover, get with me after the meeting.
Well,
talk
it's
about
simple.
it.
It's, again,
That was just a metaphor.
yeah. Well, it's going to take bodies, Commissioner. I hate to say that.
Well, I understand bodies. I just don't.
And the problem is you guys look at me like, 15 more. Okay, but here's the thing. For 16 years, go back, you want to look at records. For 16 years, I've been standing up here saying, hey, guys, we're going to need 2 this year. We need 3. We need 1 because we're going to grow. We're going to grow. Let's not get behind the 8 ball. Well, guess what? We are 3 balls behind the 8 ball. Now we've had a mass influx of population. Here we are. But like I said again, I just present what we need, and I'm going to show you the stats on why we need it. It's up to y'all to make the decision.
So at the end of the day, there's no doubt that we need the officers. I mean, there's no to say that we don't need them is it's small, but we know we need the
Right.
officers. My thing of it is put them in places where it's high crime, and make sure that they're present. Because I don't care how you look at it, I believe their presence is very important.
Exactly. And we do that, Miss Bird. We look at our hot zones and we put them in there, You know, we work it right. Here's the thing, and I'm going to say this, okay, for those who say things like that. If you go back and you look at you do it on your own. Go to FDLE's website, start pulling up crime stats. Start 16 years ago when I took office. Go a year or two before that, so you can see what the prior administration did and didn't do, and look at the crime stats. It goes down every year, except for one or two. We had a slight influx in burglars. We had a bunch of car pickers one year, but it's gone down every year. Even with what we have to work with, these guys are busting their rear ends to do a good job. So it's not like we're just not putting people where they need. We're getting the job done. But I'm telling you, and I said it last year, we can't fight a war without soldiers. And y'all know that. I'm just saying, so.
I will say this on a positive note, some of the officers is building relationship with some of the people in the community, and it's been a help. They've done some great things in the last couple of weeks or the last month. So I do appreciate that, but I still said that the presence is very important for those that's building a relationship. It's needed. And if they don't know who they serve, they in trouble. You know, you gotta know who you're serving. So, you know, that's my biggest issue.
That's right.
You know, so.
Yeah, one more, Madam Chair, one more question. Sheriff, we've been talking with a DOT and different people about, and you had them come in for a while. At the last meeting I was able to attend, we discussed about having some of your deputies trained to the situation where they could be for the commercial vehicles, doing the inspections and things like that. Is that something that's still in the looks of there?
I don't know if they still, I think they still offer that program. Just, Chris, you know?
Florida Highway Patrol controls that.
Come up here.
Lieutenant Chris Norwood with the Hendry County Sheriff's Office. The Florida Highway Patrol actually controls all of that, and we have gotten with them a couple of times, but they have to give the blessing. Plus, it's a 6-month course to be commercial vehicle compliance inspectors. You're a federal compliance inspector. The other thing comes with that is they can kind of pull you from the county as well. So you're a federal compliance inspector. With the dump trucks and stuff, the training we did do, that meeting you went to, it was a 4-hour training to show what we, as just law enforcement officers for Florida, could enforce, which we did use on County Road 78. We enforced that quite heavily. So that training did help, but it wasn't a full, you're a commercial vehicle inspector.
Yeah, well, I believe you was there when we had the conversation. And
Yes,
you
sir.
had talked about that, and
And-
actually Glades County had mentioned they were looking at it as well.
Yep.
And you were looking at 2 officers at the time. At that point, we had an accident, red diesel fuel, nothing could be done about it.
Yes, sir, and that's the same thing here. We had one at 8 and 833, and then FHP is so stretched thin as well. They can't, even when we call, it's hard for them to send. So, but we can't enforce that kind of stuff. But we did put on the training, or DeSoto County did. We sent 4 officers up there. It was a 4-hour class on what we could do with state law, but there was not a lot beyond what we kind of already did. And a lot of the County Road 78 stuff was we did enforce quite heavily what we could.
Yeah, well, I will say this, the fellas you got working in the city, they work their tail off. We call them all hours of the day and night. I will never complain about that. Those gentlemen work. So I'm just questioning, moving forward, if DOT is not gonna step up and do their part, what do we gotta do on that going forward as well? So that's just part of the conversation we had later.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Madam Chair.
Excuse me.
Mr. Norwood, one question to go behind that. If we do start giving that service, that level of service, what does that do to your manning?
It would
Right now-
take, in order for FHP to, so other counties have done it, but FHP has been very locked down on it. They don't want you to say, well, this is going to be a road deputy that's going to drive around and then go do commercial vehicle. They want you to put that person as a commercial vehicle compliance inspector. So it would basically take one of our deputies, and that's all he would be assigned to do, because he would get a computer from FHP, and it would go through their federal programming and everything else.
But that's not where the direction you're wanting to go, correct?
I'm not sure. That's the sheriff.
Well, we haven't, we spoke about it, but again, and it depends, we're gonna have to talk about it more, because like he said, you're basically gonna have to take a position off the road and make him a compliance officer at that point.
Yeah, what's the benefit?
Exactly.
If they're offsetting their whole salary and their benefits plus some, and we have a net gain, that'd be one thing, but that wouldn't be an
Right.
advantage to us.
But then FHP refuses to approve it and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess it
exactly.
rolls down to this, they need to do their job.
Yeah.
FHP.
FHP,
Madam
they
Chair.
don't do their job, pretty simple. When
Yeah.
you call and ask for them to be there, they don't need to come in one day and leave.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can't do it, and you and I have had this conversation. I'm not asking you to do something
Yeah.
that's
Well, it
not.
was surprising to me they only had 2 in the whole region that can do red fuel. Is, you know,
And they couldn't show up to an accident.
yeah.
So,
So, all right.
So just to verify, under the 23-24 fiscal period, a new deputy, their salary is $46,350 to protect the citizens of Hendry County.
And look at DeSoto County, Arcadia, one city, 55,000 this, in the current year we're in right now to start. So that's what I'm saying. It's everybody is moving up, and it's getting increasingly harder to keep people, and it's going to get worse.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner,
Okay, this is,
Howell.
okay.
Yeah.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir. And they're half our size.
I don't want to interrupt any more of your presentation, but I just want to say, one of the instances I worked with Captain Reed and Lieutenant Hudson, we had a 100-acre parcel on the very end of Hendry County on Highway 82. Continual calls to me about high-powered rifles being shot towards buildings, towards homes, kids, and everything else. And I think there was 3 separate responses down there for the same thing. Finally had to take overtime to be able to field the deputies to be able to go down there and actually spend time trying to catch the ones that were doing it.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say for most of the outlying
Yeah,
areas?
I mean, Commissioner, it depends on what the call is.
But when I called the first 2 times, it was pulling the deputy that's in Felda out of Felda.
Right.
To go all the way down there, and then there's no coverage.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to kind of cruise on. We've been here a while on this, but again, 4 civilian positions we're asking for. We'll skip operating increases. As for $768,000. Again, it's everything is going up. We need more money to operate. IT upgrades. Inmate meals are now running about $50,000 per month. We're asking for a $1.3 million increase to capital. 1.1 is for the vehicles, $190,000 to include repairs, update technology for the patrol units. These systems compare to the mobile flock cameras that read and report immediately to the deputy screen versus reporting email notification. These are the license plate readers, but they're incorporated into dash cams, which come in extremely handy when it comes to capturing things that our body cams cannot. So they read all the license plates as well. So it's the flock systems that we have up on the highways that have been worth their weight in gold. These are LPRs that are in the cars that as cars go by, it's reading the tag. So you get a stolen vehicle, amber alerts, silver alerts. It's going to let them know immediately as they pass them rather than having to get an email, which can take a little bit of a time sometimes. So we've had 2 of those cameras operating, as you can see, and they have read over 16,700 plates. That's an average of 397 plates per shift per camera. 1 LPR is equal to 3 to 5 stationary LPR cameras, depending on location. And the Axon cameras, they also integrate into our flock stationary cameras. This next slide is the same as last year. It's just a comparison to Okeechobee County. They're slightly smaller in land size. They're about the same in population, but their budget is going up to $27 million, and we're asking for 24.
Their ad valorem budget is also double to Hendry County.
Commissioner.
I'm sorry, the population number, what source are we getting that from? Because that's a lot, that's about 5,000 more people than what DOR is using.
It's Hendry County, Florida population 2024. It's on, if you turn your page, I cited it for you. Right there.
We use DOR revenue estimates, and they just we use their number, and that's the number they use for state revenue sharing, for
So what
all
are they
of
saying Okeechobee's population is?
I don't know, that's why I was just asking, I'm gonna go back and look
Yeah.
and see, it may be comparable when you look at Okeechobee's
Okay.
Delta as well. All right, thank you.
Okay. Why is their ad valorem double?
They have more commercial business over there, for sure.
Really?
based on, DOR, you said? DOR? DOR website?
Yeah, DOR. They have not put this year's numbers out yet. They'll come later in July, I think. So we'll look at those and see, and we're expecting them to increase somewhat,
Yeah.
but we just don't know yet.
This next slide I've already spoke about, the population increase.
You'll see I got it from this end.
Next slide, it shows our calls for service from January to March. And roughly you can see we have about a 12% increase from this time last year in calls for service throughout the county. And again, I spoke about it, but the number was 874 car crashes from January from January to May, through May. 874 crashes.
What is that? How does it compare year by year? Is that what percentage is that an increase? So I kind of saw it, but
See the hit and run?
I just saw hit and runs. I saw it broken out.
Yeah, I didn't break it down because the hit and runs are brought out separate, but they are part of car crashes. So, and actually, I probably should have separated them out because they take more time. They actually take, a lot of investigative work.
The hit and run does.
The hit and runs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the next slide just talks about what, the deputies do. You're all familiar with that. So I want to point out that 20 of our deputies have outside employment. That's not acting as a deputy with special details. They have a separate job to make ends meet. Next slide. Okay, here we are. Again, the FBI's national average for law enforcement officers is 2.8 officers per 1,000 population. Henry County's estimated population is 45,275. That would indicate that we should have 126 deputies providing law enforcement for Henry County. The Sheriff's Office has 78, not including the school resource officers, which have 14. The addition of 15 law enforcement officers positions will put us at about 73% of the recommended staffing level. So, as you know, this coming year, we're hoping, and Jennifer, this is going for you. You're fully familiar with the ultimate program that we're implementing this school year, which is the school speed cameras, which should be a significant help to the budget. So we need to look at that as well. So, any questions? Any more questions?
We have 14. We have 14 resource officers.
Yes, sir.
How many campuses do we have?
11?
11. So we just have a little bit of redundancy, essentially.
Yeah, well, we're budgeted for 14, but we have this lieutenant and the sergeant and all, so. Captain.
How many deputies you have now, Steve? Sheriff, sorry.
What are we at, Chief? What's the number? Melanie?
The 78.
78, yeah, on the road, yeah.
That's included.
You're 78?
That's excluding the SR.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say it again, ma'am.
78.
Excluding the SRO.
This
Oh,
is
SRO.
sworn members excluding SROs.
I'm looking at the numbers, and the FDLE numbers are different than the FBI numbers, so I'm just curious. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions or
Thank you,
comments?
Steve. For sure.
Yeah, the only question I have is, if you have 78, I don't understand the breakdown. And so if you have 78 sworn deputies, 4 and 4 on each side, obviously, I'm not understanding how much.
Do that include the jail? The numbers don't include the jail? So
No.
it don't include.
It includes the T5, that's the captains.
Okay. So it's not just the people on the road, it's everybody.
The 78 does, correct? Okay.
The 78 includes what?
The chief, the sheriff, the
Okay,
lieutenants. it
so
includes-
everybody.
yeah.
Okay.
Except
Is
for
that-
not
is
the
that
jail
correct?
and not the SROs.
Can I just make a statement and ask a question, and we can work on this outside of the workshop if
Okay,
that
can you come
pleases,
back up,
if that pleases the
Sheriff?
board.
Yes.
But with the sheriff, with the population numbers, just so we can all be on the same page. So FDLE is using, for example, a 33,000 population number from a 22 statistic, and then DOR is using about 40,000, then y'all are using 45,000. And so when you use the FDLE's numbers from 22, you know, obviously those ratios change. And so if we can just all figure out which one of those numbers to use.
Well,
then it-
I can tell you that the 33,000, because the U.S. Census come out, what, last year?
We're using 40 with DOR.
Okay, with DOR, so 40, so,
But
I
they're
mean,
excluding the city of Clewiston's population.
right. So if you add that in there, but here's the realization of it. That is not accurate at all. We are way more than 40,000 in this county. When you look at all the bodies, okay, and I'll say it, we have a lot of migrants here, we always have, that do not report on DOR. And we've had a significant increase in migrants that's come across the border in the last few years. As a matter of fact, we just got into a car chase month and a week ago. 4 individuals from South America. I was out on the chase myself. I interviewed them with a translator. And I just want to point this out and let the board know. I think I've told some of the commissioners. Every one of them told me that they came across through Texas. They made contact with Border Patrol. They were given phones, money, and a plane ticket to Miami, and here they are.
That's impressive.
And it's only gonna get worse.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of them are doing that.
And Madam Chair, and Sheriff, this is correct, you can't ask them their immigration status?
I can ask them whatever I want to. I just can't. I just really don't have the authority to act on anything.
But you can't document it either, can you?
No, I can document it if I want to. There's nothing saying I can't, but I just don't have any arrest powers as far as
Right.
federal.
No, I understand that, but
Mhm.
how much of that, those undocumented folks are impacting our
It's big time.
services?
Big time.
Wait a second, Madam Chair. Sheriff, you just said you don't have the authority to act on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I can't arrest them for being here illegally.
so
I can arrest them for not stopping for the law enforcement. I can charge them statewide, but I can't arrest them for coming
Does
across the border.
DeSantis know that?
So what happens?
Yeah.
So they can be arrested by you. So 3 illegal aliens are driving down County Road 835,
Right.
and they're doing 105, and you pull them over.
They go to jail.
All 3 of them?
No,
Just the one that
just
was
the one driving.
the violator.
Right.
What happens to the other 2 who are here illegally?
Adios, amigo.
Really? Wow. And so,
Yep.
okay. And because they have, okay, that's all right.
That's it.
I'm
Yeah,
interested
the only
to
thing
get
I can
you.
arrest them is state charges. That's it.
Okay.
Now, if it's so that's it. Anything.
If they did something illegal, you can't touch them.
Right. Exactly.
But Sheriff, is there any value to tracking that so that we know what we're truly up against?
Yeah. I mean, we could.
Interesting.
Wow.
I'm sorry,
But-
but we'll work together on those
Okay.
populations. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Are there any other questions or?
I got another one if you want to. Okay.
I stand
Thank you.
corrected on my number on ad valorem for Okeechobee. I guess it wasn't them. I recall looking at another county during last year's fiscal year budget process, but it wasn't Okeechobee because I'm looking at it now.
So are they more or less equal? What was
Or they're
about equal?
they're about, I want to say only about 3 million more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Revenue.
They
Yeah.
have some other revenue streams, though, we don't. Okeechobee.
Okay.
They also have a $70 million jail.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I got comments, but I'm gonna talk to him later, so I'm good.
Okay,
I just wanna aggravate him a bit, so.
I think we did a pretty good job on that.
12:15.
Is there any more comments? I can close out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, we're gonna close out, and we're gonna give you to about 5 after 6, and we'll reopen up. Thank you so much. Thank you.